Okay, so welcome everyone. We are so happy that you joined us. Thank you for sharing this time with us. So today, actually, uh, we have 4 hosts. So it's like some kind of panel discussion for you to hear what is actually coming from both sides, coaching center from the one side, and then the other side, GrowthUP company. So there is start of our collaboration. But first of all, I will ask Tiana and Chrysanthemum to present themselves and also GrowthUP company, and then we will hear from Yelena from Coaching Center.
So nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tiana. I am an HR director for a multinational company in the pharma medical device company. I also co-founded with Krisa and Dana GrowthUP. I'm a very busy overachiever that needs to have many things going on at the same time. And GrowthUP is the fruit of our passion for coaching and helping companies move forward and having an impact in this world. I will leave Krisa introduce herself, and then we can share a little bit about GrowthUP.
Thank you, Tiana.
Hello, everyone. It's so good to see the new faces. I see also some old faces, so that is always a great blend. So my name is Krisa for short. I am a coach certified from the ICF. I set up my business. I'm based in Brussels, so I have my business here. And then I think Tihana put it very nicely. The fruit of this like passion of ours that we have together is the GrowthUP. My background is actually a little bit of teaching. I used to be a teacher of ancient Greek, so it's always come in moments of trainings. And I worked also a bit in the corporate world. It was not my cup of tea, but it's what brought me to the coaching. So I'm always very pleased I had this experience. And we thank you very much, Anastasia and Helena, for just facilitating this space and for creating this, new collaboration, because I think that's all about coaching, especially like the co-creation and the collaboration with like-minded people. So we're very excited for this.
Thank you, Krisa. So before you present a little bit more about GrowthUP, I will also introduce myself, and then I will give word to Yelena. So I'm Anastasia from Coaching Center. I'm with Coaching Center now for, I think, 2-3 years, right? I'm ICF ACC coach, trainer at Coaching Center, and a little bit of everything else. But here now today, I will be in the role of moderator of this panel discussion. And yes, that would be it from me for now. But Yelena, please share a little bit more about you and also Coaching Center for the ones that don't know a lot about coaching.
Thank you, Anastasia. Thank you, Krisa. Thank you, Tiana. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Really happy to meet you all and have this discussion together. I hope we will have some fun also together in this, what shall we call it, webinar or online get-together. I guess it sounds better than webinar. Webinar sounds too formal. I'm founder of Coaching Center. For the last 10 years, Coaching Center has been here in the local market as a provider of leadership development and coaching. That is, like, in short, what we do: ICF certifications, Scrum Org certifications, and corporate learning programs. And also I teach at the university, organizational psychology, leading change, those kinds of the courses. I'm an associate professor at the University of Belgrade. So that's really, in short, like also a double career similar to Tiana.
Thank you, Yelena. Okay, so Chris and Tiana, will you share something about GrowthUP for the people that are here from, let's say, Coaching Center side and know about us, but maybe haven't heard about you?
So the GrowthUP, we call it like more like it's a space that we want to offer like growth and coaching. And the whole idea how we created this is we wanted to make really coaching approachable to everyone. We met actually with Tihana and our other partner Dana in our training while we were like, preparing ourselves to become like coaches. And we had like this passion of like, oh my God, coaching is so fantastic. Everyone should be doing coaching. And then you realize not everyone knows about coaching, and then not everyone can afford coaching. So then we were like, how can we make it accessible to everyone? So then it started like this idea of creating a program, coaching based, an app that people can do on their own time, that they can. And the three of us quite high achievers. I think Tihana just put it there in the beginning. We are work in progress, but the whole idea is like, how can we support people that they are busy, that they don't have the time of the world, that they don't have as much money, because let's face it, sometimes coaching can be quite an expensive, if I put it, hobby out there. So that brought us in creating our app, and then with that we started exploring more, and we wanted bigger impact. So we started working from an individual level into bringing it and work with other coaches, and the three of us, we had the company together and we had our individual practices. So we are like, hey, that would be great to share all these best practices, all the work that we did for ourselves to other coaches on how they can set up their practice, how they can do actually coaching as a business. There's a lot of space for everyone. We're a big believer on that. We are all bringing something very individual. And then, of course, we are like, how we come from a corporate background, and we were thinking, how great would that be to bring all this, amazing reflection and the benefits of coaching within a company. Because, I mean, one way or another, we all know the pain points of a big corporate, of a startup, of a small company even. So that was for us a very fluent, if I can use that word, way to start collaborating and working with companies. So in few words, there are 3 segments: for individuals, for coaches, and for companies. Did I miss something?
No, just wanted to share that we want to create a bridge between coaches and companies. And that's where I think also we got together with Coaching Center, because we want coaching to be more approachable. We want to give more opportunities for coaching into companies. And we really loved the Coaching Center ideas and vision for this. And we want to help them expand in our market, so that we can together have even more impact for our companies.
Great. Thank you, Tiana. Thank you, Krisa. And I would invite Jelena now to share for the people that are actually here with us for the first time, to share a little bit more about Coaching Center.
Thanks, Anastasia. I've already shared a little bit maybe about the 2 main streams of our work, like certification programs in terms of coaching and Scrum, also like Agile certification and general corporate learning, which I think will be maybe the focus of today's get together. But now more like less in terms of what we do, like streams of work, more in terms of purpose and vision, let's say. I guess democratizing coaching has been part of our mission from beginning, like 10 years ago. That was one of the things that we wanted to do. And another thing was also linking coaching to some sound psychological theory and methodology. That was also our mission, because at the time, especially somewhere early 2000s and on, it was like all sorts of coaching and coaches available on the market without so much like discrimination of whether they really rely on some sound methodology or not. And part of our mission was also to link all that to psychology and some psychological research also, making it still available to large majority of people who are interested at all in coaching. So that has been our, I guess, value proposition so far for 10 years almost, like innovating, linking theory and science and practice, and at the same time serving very broad audience of people who are interested to join. Just like some sort of a example, over the 10 years, we had a FIFA referee also among our coach trainees, and also people who were journalists and a lot of teachers. We had a practice or something like a thing that we did for a couple of years in the row, actually. Now that I recall, we used to give free seats to teachers on our ICF certification programs, just to make sure that coaching lands in Serbian schools, and that was also a nice thing that we did. Now with the switch to English programs and so on, I guess we, for some reason, stopped doing that, but it's a nice reminder that still that may be interested to some of the teachers in Serbia or regionally. So that's in short, like our mission and purpose.
Great, great. Actually, this is the first time I hear about that. So it's really, really nice to hear something new always. Before we continue, I would like just to share my link in the chat and to invite all the participants to enter this link and to help us just to see actually your expectations from this webinar. So let me send you just a moment. Okay, so Myro is in the chat, so please enter the link and just come and share what will be useful for you in this webinar. So just to have in mind where you are with this topic and what you need actually from us. Okay. Can you enter the link? Mm-hmm. Let me check. So I will share the screen for everyone to see you. And while you type here what will be useful for you, I will go through agenda. So actually our agenda for the next, let's say, hour will be around 45 to 50 minutes of panel discussion, but also to go with the flow. So nothing is fixed, and then to leave some time for question and answers. So, but also I would just like to remind you that during the panel discussion, feel free to ask questions, like to open chat, to ask questions, and to make this webinar as most interactive as it can be. So what we have here, this webinar will be useful for me if exchange of ideas, okay, getting to know each other, collaboration, great. I think you will actually get all of it, I'm sure. But for now, there is nothing more in this Miro. So maybe we can start with our discussion, and then in the meantime, I will just pay attention on this Miro board and just check with all of you what will be actually useful for you. Is that okay with you, Krisa, Tiana, Yelena? Yes? Can we? Okay, great. Okay, so maybe it's better like this, like to see all of you, not to share a screen. So maybe we can start with when we were preparing this webinar, we thought, okay, what is actually that we want to present, and then we started with this evolution actually of corporate training and the rise of coaching in corporate training. So maybe you can help me with some answers, like how have you seen actually corporate training evolve over the past few years? Maybe we can start from Krisa.
Sure, I was just giving the floor maybe to Tihana, she's more inside, but yeah, absolutely, I can share my experience on that. In all fairness, I see more and more the need in order to have like these corporate trainings, having like a coach, sometimes an internal coach. I think it's becoming a little bit undeniable as the coaching industry does grow and it raises even more awareness of what are the benefits. But there are also some elements that I do think always it's worth mentioning. And sometimes it comes from a place of I do want to support the team and the company. And sometimes it comes from a place where you just need to fill in quota. And I think it's like it's important to know also, like as a coaches or trainers, or if we want to enter into that industry, that is also a great way to bring impact into a culture that they don't even like seek for that. But in all fairness, I can say from the last 3 years that I've been having my practice, I have more and more companies, and I don't want to just say corporates because we do work a lot also with startups that they're scaling up or with NGOs. You do very much see the need that they are very thirsty and in need to have an external internal. And I call it external internal because sometimes having someone coming from the outside, you're always a bit more unbiased. People trust you more. And I think the impact and the creation of the psychological safety and the impact is bigger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great, great. Thank you, Krisa, for sharing. Maybe we can just follow up on that before I hear Tiana and Yelena. Like, what do you think? How coaching has actually become that crucial part of this corporate training world?
Well, it's actually very much needed, and I think everyone realized that if you need to retain your talents, if you want to support your employees, you need to offer them the space of this. I call it self-reflection, because you can have the company goals, but then you need to find your individualism within the company. And I think at least that's my part and experience. When coaching enters the company, it's more like on finding your spot within this place. So the one-on-one coaching or the group coaching has a lot to do with how you bring your individual within the team, within the company, within the values, within the future goals.
Yeah. And what do you think, like, in the past, let's say, year or two, does that actually rising, like more and more of actually coaching kind of training?
Yes, because I think like a big part, and I think Tihana can just even share more about it. Everything we do as GrowthUP and as individuals is coaching based. It's even if we do a training, it's all about giving the space for your self-reflection. It's great to spoon feed everyone the information, but that's going against a little bit the whole coaching principle. It's about you get what you need. So I think it's a lot about how you approach the things and what is your methodology or how you want to do things. But I can definitely say this has been the biggest impact in the transition. And that's why I think companies, they need a little bit more of the coaching aspect rather than just a trainer or just a facilitator of a knowledge sharing, if I can put it like this.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Maybe before we hear Tiana, maybe we can just like see other views, like to hear Jelena from like Serbian market, let's say, like to hear her side, like what you think, Jelena.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Krista, for sharing these insights. Really useful, and I resonate with almost everything that you said. Before maybe jumping into Serbia, a little bit of the broader context that may be interesting. Generally, corporate learning started, I think, somewhere in the early 20th century in terms of industrial needs that employees are trained, and it was very behavioral in the beginning, like training people how to use, I don't know, tools in manufacturing, and then that kind of context. And then somewhere after World War II, in America, there was a strong school actually of research and also practice. And one research I think stands out as maybe the beginning of coaching as we know it today. And that is something I think an interesting story. Research into habits of nutrition of post-war America. There was a need for households to switch from meat, which was expensive in terms of food at that time, to other types of food which are meat-based, but not really meat or whatever, cheaper kinds of meat, let's say, and still nutritional, like liver or I don't know, whatever. There were groups with women at that time, because they were, at the time at least, the ones who were in charge of preparing food and nutrition for the families. And researchers did a couple of things. Did general training, like, listen, liver is equally nutritional as meat, you can also prepare it, and blah, 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 you can imagine. And also there was some sort of persuasive messages, like more like a campaign. Listen, it's important, and so on, not so educational, but rather more like some sort of persuasive messages. And there was also more participative sharing, like, what do you think? How would that fit your family's needs? Is it viable at all for you? And so on. And in that third kind of type of actually changing nutritional habits, there was also a round of commitments in the end for every participant to share, okay, one commitment that I have and that I want to share with other participants is, and then participants would share actually their personal commitments. What research found, and that was 1947, if I'm not wrong, is that this third way of changing habits actually was most impactful, not only immediately, but also in the follow-up over the years. And that was actually the beginning of coaching as we know it in modern terms. Like, training does have a part, persuasion does have a part, but in the end, people need to feel actually what fits their life and work context, and also to, in a way, shape their own pattern and way of doing things. Then, some 20 years later, we had Edgar Schein, who actually from MIT, who said, okay, there is something that we call process intervention, which is not delivering content and training people in this or that, like conflict or whatever, but rather working with a process. And that was really like a clear cut, I think, beginning of coaching. And somewhere in 1980s, we also had the beginning of team coaching. For example, Peter Hawkins from England, that we also admire very much, one of our trainers at Coaching Center, started working with BBC at the time with their teams and so on. So we had a lot of initiatives around coaching throughout the 20th century, and some sort of a formal mark of the coaching and reason is actually founding of ICF somewhere in 1990s, 1994 or 5, if I'm not wrong. So basically, that is some sort of a formal mark, and the rise of coaching, we in a way celebrate from founding of ICF. Back to Anastasia's question, is it rising or not? Globally speaking, we have ICF research annually with PricewaterhouseCoopers, which demonstrates there is a rise in terms of demand and also supply when it comes to coaching. So there is a significant rise in coaching, especially post-COVID, globally in terms of demand in corporates and also like retail like customers, or all over the world, especially emerging markets. So that is something that ICF, I guess, shares annually with general public. When it comes to our region, I think also we are among that part of the world where it is rising more at more speed than in other parts of the region, which are maybe more saturated markets and so on. So I guess we have some data that actually validate that we have coaching on the rise. From personal experience, I completely agree with Krisa. Everything we do is in a way coaching based, whether it's a training or some other kind of learning and development intervention. We embed coaching into it because it's a way to enable or provide making things happen or making people implement what they have learned. I'm really like, in a way, I don't know, resistant to believe that you can actually make people start doing something new without, in a way, letting them choose the way how they will actually do it. So autonomy, that is part of the coaching process, is really so crucial in implementation, making things work, that it has become my overall kind of a methodology for L&D.
And do you think that actually this autonomy is actually a reason, let's say, why coaching is rising in that speed?
I definitely would say that there is so much in autonomy. There are psychological theories that say autonomy is so crucial to work, not only to coaching, but rather to work. Self-determination theories that they would say that motivation at work and maybe even in life is so dependent on the feeling of autonomy. That is why we are so, in a way, criticizing micromanaging, because it's the opposite probably of autonomy and so on. So even if you put aside coaching, autonomy is so important to grow people's sense of self-mastery, having some sort of a purpose in life, the way you want to shape your life and profession and so on. And then coaching uses that as a methodology to just drive change in some sort of facilitation way. So definitely part of the reason of rise of coaching is autonomy. And maybe even furthermore, we also have some research that is demonstrating that newer generations are even more into autonomy, whether we like it or not. So in a way, yes, maybe the zeitgeist is also in a way like everybody likes autonomy nowadays more than 100 years ago, which is a good thing, I think.
Exactly. Great. Thank you, Jelena. I would also like to hear from Tiana on this topic, but just also wanted to mention that I saw that there was some like issues with Miro link, but I think it is all fixed. So now I think all of you can actually enter the Miro link and Miro board and actually comment on your expectations. Tiana, can you comment on this, like evolution of corporate training, coaching actually becoming that crucial part of this evolution and so on?
Absolutely. I think that Krisa and Jelena already shared a lot. What I can share is the inside lookout from a corporate perspective. In the last 10 years, what I've seen as an HR driving some of those initiatives and those changes, that telling people what to do or telling them this is the framework, use it, doesn't work anymore. People want to practice, people want to understand, people want to learn by doing, learn. And the act of learning and being guided through a coaching approach, it's what really brings them that that kind of extra edge towards someone that just learns the theory and has to figure out how to apply it. I think that we also shifted from being a top-down, this is what the company needs and this is what the company goals are, approach to training and delivering leadership programs, to a more co-creation process. What is the need of the managers, of the middle managers, of the leaders? What are the gaps that we have? Instead of deciding this is our strategy and this year we are focusing on communication, we're seeing more and more the willingness to understand what are the gaps and filling those gaps. And as Jelena said, the generation are shifting. The way we want to work and want to learn is shifting. We can't use the same methodologies that we used in the past. And what I've seen from a coaching perspective and using it even as a leader, because I have my team, and of course I use coaching in everything I do. So everyone has to experience that with me. I've seen the results of asking more questions, being more present, making the pauses instead of always giving the solution and the answer. So it's more empowering of leaders, of our employees through the training and development process instead of just saying, this is what it is, you take it.
Yeah. I think that actually all of you shared what are actually the strengths of coaching approach compared to some traditional training methods. Can you maybe share like some examples of how coaching has impacted companies positively, of course?
Definitely. So, for example, I can share how in my company, through my coaching approach, I was able to really drive some of the changes that we needed. Even in things like change programs. We had a global program, global project, starting from our mission of saving and sustaining lives to what it means for each and every employee to achieve that mission and to thrive toward that mission. And so instead of just saying, okay, this is how we do this program, this is what you need to do, we co-created with them. We asked them what they needed to make the cultural change successful at their location. Because of course, having global location all over the world, what works in Serbia or in Switzerland doesn't work in China or doesn't work in other parts of the world. So really asking those questions and guiding them through deciding what they needed to do to apply the cultural change was a really game changer for the company. It was really empowering to the people. And I think that shift, the empowerment through coaching, it's really what can have a positive impact. Because I think that for years, coaching has been either a top dog offer that you have for your C-level executives or performance management. So shifting that narrative and using coaching through positive changes, positive things that you are applying to the company will shift the narrative around that.
Yeah. Maybe Jelena or Krista, maybe you want to follow up on what Tiana shared.
Maybe just to follow up on the performance management topic, it's one of my favorite actually. And I completely agree with Tiana around positive changes and using in general coaching as a change management strategy. That is, I think, something where it's most like empowering, making people change agents and so on. But maybe my kind of a example, even before Tiana mentioned performance management and Yask, Anastasia, would be exactly performance management context, where I see maybe the greatest value of coaching to even transform the performance management process in itself. So in a way, to undermine the old way of doing performance management. So maybe my favorite examples from our corporate clients are actually around the innovations in performance management. Where you have the old way of doing things like annually or even in some better scenarios quarterly, but in a way top-down driven process where a leader invites employees, gives some feedback, not necessarily in a written form of performance review, but basically a little bit of administration, a little bit of top-down, and in the best case scenario, feedback plus a little bit of coaching, but that's the kind of the setup. And then with innovating this process, what we have observed is actually shifting the kind of responsibility. So it's not the top-down process, it's the employee schedules the leader for a conversation, which is like shifting the roles in a way. It's a continuous process expected to happen at least once monthly, which is again much better to have regular check-ins than like to wait for a year. Can you imagine how many things happen in 1 year? If you're a leader and want to give feedback after a year, that sounds like a joke almost. So this was a positive change. Also, some sort of a motto in the company was employees in the driving seat, back to autonomy, for some sort of a leitmotif for the whole innovation of the process, and then empowering the leaders to actually use that time with their employees in the best possible way, like a lot of flexibility, client-centeredness or employee-centeredness, a lot of open questions, not imposing your agenda or their agenda, being there for employees, like what is their goal and so on. So my favorite examples are those when coaching is employed to actually drive innovations in performance management, which are empowering, bringing back autonomy, making egalitarian the process, and in the end, I think serving the business. That is also maybe not the first kind of thing, but in the bottom line, we're doing exactly that.
Thank you, Jan. Actually, I think that a lot of people here, from what I see, are already like coaches. They went on some coaching education and been there with us. But I think that what would be interesting for them is to actually hear, like when talking about like some kind of gaps in the market, like when we talk about coaching, what actually these gaps in the market does the collaboration between Coaching Center and GrowthUP address? Like what gaps this collaboration address?
While I'm muted, maybe I can just start with one link that it was also one of the initial conversation, and maybe it's not so much focused just on corporate, but it's kind of like a domino effect. And I think that's the whole point, just like creating a bigger impact. So one of the things that we collaborate, and I mean, besides that, I think it's obvious we are like very like-minded with the same goals and ideas. And I think that's what brought us together. Sometimes even using the same terminologies, amazing. But our whole idea, as I said, like, you're a training center, you get like great coaches out of the training. We have the part of the business coaching. We are like, okay, great, you're a coach, you can use your skills, whether you want to take them back to the company, fantastic. Whether you want to use the skills back home, even better. But if you want to just make some sense out of it and just enter into this entrepreneurial journey, we bring you on board. And that is the part that Tihana touched a little bit before. We get the collaborations with the corporate. And what we try to do, again, taking the like approachable ways and ways that it will not cost a lot of money for each company, because not every company is like this, like big corporate that just like has a lot of budget. Sometimes are small companies, sometimes are startups, and they really need the coaching. So what we do is we are the in-between step of like, taking the graduate, like helping the process of like how you can set up. Do you want to call it a business? Do you want to call it a side hustle? Make some sense of your coaching and put them there in practice. And we're mingling also with the companies that you can actually get like some real clients. You can get like, your practice, and we can just bridge this kind of gap. Companies need in-house, outside of the house coaches. Coaches need clients, and we are a little bit in between, holding the bridge. Yeah, it's. I wanted to say in a nutshell, but that was longer than a nutshell.
And just to conclude probably this nutshell, I think that our target is more smaller scale companies, and because we don't have the numbers, we don't have also the same capacity also for trainings and such that coaching center has. So it's a great collaboration because we can play off of our strengths and we can complete each other where we can. We can get to know new coaches for our business, where we help them build their confidence and build their products to get out there. And we can also build a network for companies to have access to all the amazing resources that Coaching Center has. I mean, Scrum has become a big part in our day-to-day lives, and everyone wants to learn, and there are so many companies looking for agile. This is something that we don't have, and by building this kind of collaboration, we can have trusted partners that we can really somehow, we care about our packages and we give them with care to Coaching Center when we cannot provide. And on the other side, we are also getting a lot of out of this through building an even broader network of newly certified coaches that want to dip their feet into this space.
Thank you, Tiana. Maybe when I think about some of people that are here that actually are graduates from Coaching Center ICCD education, can you name maybe let's go with the numbers, 3 benefits that actually they can have from you? If they contact you after this webinar, what are the top 3 benefits that you can give them?
You want me to go? Yeah, okay. So great question, Anastasia. I just wanted to add something before, but so what they get, yeah, no. I go one by one because I can also get excited and just go all over the place. So it's actually, you get some real clients out of that you can actually practice. And I know you might have experienced that, at least that was our experience. We got our coaching, we finished, and then I thought okay, here I am, world, I'm a coach, just come to me. That's what I thought when I finished. I thought everyone needs a coach. That was obvious. And then I was just expecting clients would just be knocking at my door. Was not the case. So what we do is we bridge that. We offer a lot of business support, because at the end of the day, I don't know your background. My background was not business oriented. So you get suddenly you're called to do from being a marketing expert, from being a product delivery, having sales, have all these different hats that it can get a lot of overwhelming. Of course, community. I think I never valued community before as much as I did since I started my entrepreneurial journey. And there's a lot of mindset. I mean, I have to be honest, maybe it's not the cup of tea of everyone, but I'm sometimes it might, in your mind, you might question many things, but if it feels right, it's the right thing to do. So sometimes connecting to your instincts. So these are in the practical aspect what we do offer. And I just wanted to add a little bit on your initial question, Anastasia. What is the gap? And I think it was touched a little bit before. Somehow we always come as the last resource, because facilitating or trainers, they don't cover the need that they have. So that is the moment where you understand coaching is really important and the coaching skills are really important. And I am from the schools of I'm a big believer of having a proper certification, not for the sake of money, not for the sake of just the branding, for the sake of you work with humans, and we need to be a little bit more attentive. Sometimes they are more fragile. I've attended trainings where there was a lot of emotion coming out, and facilitators, they were not ready to create this safe environment. And of course, everything is a matter of practice. I'm not the coach that I graduated back 3 years ago. That's not the case. but we are all work in progress, but we need at least to be educated in that aspect, to know how to create this safe environment for everyone who just comes and shares, like a more emotional and personal element. So that being said, there is a need. Sometimes it comes slower. Maybe it's different on where everyone is based. Here in Belgium, there is a lot of culture facilitated. Greek, I see that it's coming slowly but surely. I mean, it starts having this coaching word around there, but the two companies do investigate more and more. So we might be as the last resort coaches, but we are the resort that they need.
Yeah, thank you, Chris, for actually sharing so many really honest and really things that are here with us all the time. Like all the time we hear from our participants on ICC education or from our alumni, like what to do now, like where to start, how to start, and so on. And then we also have our LinkedIn community, now our Slack community, and we always try like to give more to our alumni, like, okay, what now? We just don't want to just educate you and then, okay, you can do it yourself. And then this was like maybe the main reason why we actually wanted this collaboration with you, to actually also give more to people that finished ICCD education or any other, and then to help them to actually develop their coaching business. We can say it like that also. Maybe like just to come back and look on Yelena and Coaching Center, like, can I ask you also, like, I know that a lot of things are changing in Coaching Center, and that we always try to like give more and more, like something different. We mentioned ICF, we mentioned Scrum. So those are some kind of also benefits like that actually companies can get from us. But what would you maybe like top 3 benefits that also consider like some new things that changed in Coaching Center? Like what are the top 3 benefits for companies that actually like come to Tiana or Trina and like ask like, okay, do you have someone to recommend? And they're like, okay, yes, Coaching Center. So what you would say, like?
Yeah, just before that, I saw Chris opening mic. So just to give maybe the opportunity now. Okay, perfect. I don't know, I'm a big fan of general networking, connecting with people, sharing ideas, listening to each other. So I'm always happy to have just a like casual conversation, even if it is recording like this one, to hear what people are doing, how we can collaborate, and so on. So I really believe in that kind of partnership approach, and that has been part of the way we do things, intentionally or not intentionally, over the years at Coaching Center. So I'm really happy to hear that Krisa and Tiana and GrowthUP in general can support our people with what comes next part, like setting up their business and maybe providing some sort of guidance around how to do things. I think that is very valuable and maybe not something that we are focused on as Coaching Center. So it sounds like really a nice match actually to support that kind of developments with our alumni. So back to Anastasia's question, what are new things and so on? Maybe just to mention a couple of new things which are already in my mind, like a little bit old, and then some of the things that are really new. So many new things that you have new, old and new. Maybe among some of the things that are new, but are there for a while, we're into more ICF accredited programs like team coaching diploma and also EMCC accreditations here, European accreditations, which may be also useful for some people. They have a somewhat lower bar for entry, especially at foundational level of certification. Back to Chris's point that accreditation is important. I fully agree. With ICF, the bar is not so low. It's, you know, like $100 and so on. With EMCC, the entry bar is a little bit lower in terms of hours and training hours, but still different in a way, like more reflective practice and so on. So we are maybe also, in a way, democratizing the market further with EMCC accreditation. So like different paths. Somebody maybe doesn't want to become an ICF certified coach, but works with EMCC and so on. And when it comes to newest things, we're more into how AI can actually support our learners, both corporate learners and also people who are on certification paths with us. How AI augments the way we train and the way our participants learn, and how we can actually make a nice match of human expertise, which we are so proud of at Coaching Center, of the whole team, with something that is a new technology, let's say, that comes from AI, like that kind of a nice and careful merge of human expertise and new technologies. That is something that excites us and something that we're also like happy to share and collaborate when it comes to that.
Great, great. Thank you, Jelena. Like I'm thinking what we should add on before we continue with some questions, but maybe I can just check Myro, because I saw that there are some more expectations, and maybe we can go through that. I will just send Myro link again in chat for the questions. So please enter the Myro link, or maybe write in chat, whatever is easier for you, of course. Or you can also open a mic, of course, and like ask us if you have any questions regarding what we talked about. While we wait for your questions, I'll just check. So there is one more comment on expectations, and it says to get some new insights of how to empower teams where employees change often. So maybe some of you would like to answer this.
I can start. I mean, well, the first thing first will be how can you change things so that employees don't change often? Or what are the things that you need to have in place so that even if employees change often, which may happen because people rotate, or you have a great program that makes people move quicker through the positions, to really have a process, a thought process on how you can manage this transition faster and quicker. And always with the coaching approach, asking the right questions to the people that are doing the job, and being able to build something from that so that you can build that team in a way that it's not connected to the single people, but to the broad knowledge of the team and how they collaborate with each other. So I'm sure that usually it's always the same 2-3 positions that change. And so how do you cover that gap through the other team members? I think that's something that I would consider.
Great, great. Krista, Jelena, would you like to add something?
Maybe just a tiny bit to follow up on what Tiana already said. I see that, like, what you asked was 2 streams. One is how to empower teams in terms of retention, and Tiana added some nice things regarding this, like retention is one of the top priorities, I guess, or it used to be, at least before some of the, I don't know, shifts in the market more recently, and how we can make sure that we actually set up the right environment so that retention is enabled. And the other kind of things is maybe more general, like there are teams which are changing quickly, no matter how well we do things, how much we set up leadership and so on. By design, they are quick change teams. There is even that kind of a category of teams. They're called like cabin crew teams because of the metaphor on being on board on the plane, but it's not only that kind of, also in surgery, like emergency rooms, healthcare teams, they often also have that kind of change of setup. At least in Serbian medical system, you cannot think of the same doctors and same medical support each time, but they shift and so on. So there are many contexts in which, by design, teams members are changing quickly. And one of the things that we know from research, like Amy Edmondson studied those teams, is that psychological safety is key. So back to Krisa and her points about the usefulness of coaching in general, I guess back to that point, yes, even in those fast-changing environments by design, not by somebody's fault, let's say, what we can do is make sure that everybody feels safe. That's, I guess, the sometimes minimum, but it's also sometimes demanding on leaders to understand that and also implement that. So I guess empathy for leaders and empathy for employees at the same time.
You're muted, Anastasia.
We can't read your lips yet, Anastasia, but close to that.
I mean, we are all on active listening.
I'm sure, Yelena, that you're close to that, but yeah, sorry for this. But thank you, Yelena and Tiana, for sharing all of this. While we maybe wait for some questions, because there is no questions at all, I invite you to use this time and ask. But Krisa, would you like maybe to in a way wrap up this, like to share like some of your final thoughts, consider all
It's hard already.
yeah
Because I just keep thinking and reflecting. One thing before I do the wrap up, Anastasia, if you allow me, is because we share the one way of how GrowthUP and Coaching Center comes together, but there's also the other way around of, as we are, most of the trainers that and coaches that we work is they're ICF certified, and you constantly need to keep developing and growing. So for us also having a coaching center where it could just like we trust and we know how they work and we appreciate and love the way they are doing the programs and everything. It's also very important for us to keep supporting the in-house coaching to keep growing and learning more and more. And you have a lot of things that you're doing, and it's very much appreciated. And you can always pick and select one part or a big part and such. So I think I needed to mention that because, again, I have somehow a structure in my mind, but I still need to just like keep a list of everything. That being said, I think it's very important to leave a little bit of space. We are not that many, but still it's interesting, and we are curious to know what are your needs or even questions related or not related. With Tihana, we plan to offer like just something as an extra support, and I will let Tihana maybe just bullet it, or we can just have this follow up. But we want to offer some tools for you that they can kind of answer some of your questions that you put there. We wanted to take the time and the space more for like facilitating a discussion rather than making it into a hardcore training. We do that, so that's always like an option. But also we want to offer like a 30 minutes strategy call that we can really like even just help you to support and to clarify what are the needs. I think most of the confusion and the stress in general comes from lack of clarity. That being said, one message I do want to say as a conclusion is that there is space for everyone. I know sometimes it feels like it's so much cluttered, the space, but all the spaces are cluttered. We are way too many in this earth. But there is a space for everyone. And it's like, I always bring this metaphor, what we are like, from what I understood, coaches here. It's like when you buy a car and then you feel like you see this car everywhere. it's the same thing. I feel like when I enter the coaching world, it's like everyone is a coach, but before that, I never even like knew about it. So like it might feel bizarre, but there is space for everyone, and the more aligned you are to who you are, the easier it gets to just go out there and find your own people, your own clan, or however you want to call it. I didn't summarize much, but that was the best I could do.
Thank you. It's so nice what you shared and so true. But yeah, I also wanted to follow up on what you said. Like our back office team will for sure send emails for everyone that joined here, and we will send your contact so they can follow up and like schedule demo session with you and what you wanted to share with them, and if they have any questions and so on. And also from Coaching Center, we also wanted to share 2 ebooks with all of you who joined. So we have one ebook that we will share with you, I think tomorrow or day after. Our back office will share that. One ebook is Navigating Coaching Challenges, and the other ebook is Strategies to Pass ICF Exam. So we will share that with you. And now, before I just check, yeah, there are no questions still, but then I think everything was so clear. So that's why there is no questions. But
Can I ask a question? Minja is here.
yes, Minja, of course.
Christiani said that they would like to make empowering or make coaching accessible to everyone. I didn't understand how you are making that accessible to everyone. What are you doing?
Well, that's actually a very good question. And that's the thing that sometimes you have it clear in your mind, but apparently it's not very clear for the others. So thank you for the question. So how we are doing it, we have a lot of freebies. So we have a lot of coaching-based trainings for free in our platform, in our app, that you can use it or from your laptop or from your phone, whether you're like more company-based or whether it's like an individual who wants just to learn more. And then accessible for everyone, we try to have very competitive and low prices. We are always offering free trainings and master classes. There is always, though, the question of how much a free is being appreciated or valued, because it's, I think, undeniable, and there's a lot of research behind of you need to feel a little bit uncomfortable to put a personal, effort and touch. But I mean, these are the 2 ways: our free fees, how it's being called in our world, and the very low and extremely competitive price.
And I was
Thank you.
mentioning the GrowthUP app. You can go in and see what are the free resources and choose the version for individuals or for companies, because we have also some free materials for companies. And as we said, the making it more accessible, it's for the companies when they hire us. That's where we bridge with newly certified coaches, because then we can offer very competitive prices.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for everything. Well, I'll have to go. So that was my question. Thank you for sharing everything, and it was insightful.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we have now only Oliveira with us, but we can hear Tiana. Will you wrap up this in your way?
Absolutely. So what we share today, it's really the need and the space and the growth of this market. And there is a need in the market, a need that we are trying to fill with different tools and different programs. And I think that keeping in mind what we are trying to achieve, so making coaching more known and more accessible, and making sure that we work with companies that are aligned to our values. It's really important to us. So I think this collaboration with our coaching center, first of all, it brings me closer to my roots, so it means a lot to me personally, but then it's also an opportunity for us to really also help the space to get more resources and more programs so that it becomes part of the standard and the norm to have access to these kind of resources.
Yeah. Also, what Minya shared, this is actually, Minya asked, this is actually like our common vision, and this is what brought us together. Yelena?
Just to thank to everybody, to you, Anastasia, and to our colleagues, Tiana and Krista, and to all participants. This was a nice chit chat. That's what I expected. That was my expectation in the beginning, to share really experiences, thoughts, to get to know each other a little bit, to know how we can support each other. And regarding my selfish goals, which are these, I'm fully satisfied. So thank you, everybody, for making this happen.
Great. Thank you, Yelena. Thank you, Tiana. Thank you, Chris. And thank everyone who joined, and Olivera, who stayed with us until the end.
Thank you for joining this nice, very nice mutual support from Tiana, Christina versus Yelena and you. I really enjoy, really. And I learned a lot how it's very nice to make connection between your part with the part from Belgrade. Thank you all.
Great. Thank you.
And thank you, Anastasia, for facilitating and moderating.
Thank you, Tiana. It was my pleasure, actually, to be here with you. Okay.